race to reduce emissions is a marathon with critical milestones on the path to net zero. WRAL climate change reporter Liz McLaughlin explains how the state and nation are stacking up and the biggest roadblocks in our way.
The good news, we're making progress. Greenhouse gas emissions are on the decline in the U.S. and in North Carolina, but many climate scientists say those cuts aren't happening fast enough. Nationally, you can see a downward trend in emissions, but carbon has crept back up again since the height of the COVID pandemic. North Carolina's greenhouse gas inventory released this year shows a downward trend in the state over the past 2 decades, in part because utilities are replacing coal plants with more natural gas and clean energy. A state-mandated climate goal aims to reduce emissions in the energy sector by 70% by 2030. But Duke Energy's most recent carbon plan aims to push that deadline to 2035 or later. Infrastructure limitations are slowing the clean energy rollout, according to Columbia climate researcher Melissa Lott.
We need to invest in the entire grid, from transmission, the really big wires that go from power plants to communities, and also the small wires that then take it to our homes. But that's not a technical problem. We know how to solve that. We just have to make the choice to do it.
She says some of the other major barriers are administrative hurdles, such as long timelines for permits, meeting workforce and supply chain needs, and geopolitics, the not in my backyard mentality. The energy sector has been a central focus of climate change goals because it can be a foundation to reduce emissions in other areas. For example, everyone could get an EV tomorrow, but it wouldn't be as impactful if everyone was charging those vehicles with electricity generated from fossil fuels.
And that's Liz McLaughlin reporting. In the coming years, Duke Energy says it plans to build new plants that burn natural gas, a fossil fuel that emits about 50% less carbon than coal. Critics say fossil fuel resources should be phased out completely to meet federal and state net zero goals.